Welcome to the show. You may have noticed this is no normal episode because today I'll be trying to answer the question, what is the best daily driver in BeamNG? Let's lay some ground rules first. We won't be talking about the Gavril D series as its skill set is so unique it can't be compared to fairly. Second, we won't be including the 3 starter cars, you can do better than those anyway. Third, no mods. We're using cargo box capacity as a measure and not all mods support that. Starting at the cheapest end of the market with a visit to Quarryside Auto Sales, you may often notice X-taxis around their lot. Generally, there are 3 to choose from: the Ibishu Pessima, the Gavril Grand Marshal, and the Soliad Lansdale, but we'll get back to that one later. Depending on their mileage, Pessimas can start around 3,000 money. The taxi version is essentially a 1.8 DX automatic, with different wheels and a couple of other minor differences. Its internal cargo capacity, not including front seats or the roof which is simply too vulnerable, is 48 slots, not bad at all for its size. To drive, it's more fun than it looks. That 1.8 litre engine makes 125 horsepower and is surprisingly sprightly but also very refined, ideal for blasting up and down the freeways. The gearbox is very good for an automatic. Handling is as expected, not bad, but there is a bit of understeer if you push too hard. Overall a good 9 out of 10. The Grand Marshal then, available for about 6,000 monies. Sporting a 4.5 litre V8 making 190 horsepower, this big old saloon can certainly move and sounds good doing it. The boot is massive too, giving it a total capacity of 56 cargo slots. With its high riding, solid axle rear suspension, the Grand Marshal is also well equipped to handle heavy loads. However, unless you drive in a very relaxed manner, it falls apart. The brakes are problematic at best, the diff is positively bovine, it really doesn't turn either, and is prone to spinning the rear wheels up. Overall, a cinematic but tricky customer. Really, I can't rate the drive above a 5 out of 10. It's not just cabs at this budget though, you could also have a cheap, high mileage Hirochi Sunburst for 10,000 money. It comes with a capacious estate body resulting in a very impressive 64 cargo slots, and a 1.6 litre boxer engine up front. The Sunburst is actually fairly enjoyable to drive, though it does suffer from bad understeer. The problem is the dual clutch gearbox is absolutely awful. It bogs down really badly off the line, takes 5 business days to change gear, and even then can never pick the right one. Go for a CVT if you can find one, because the manual isn't all that either. If you spec it right, this is a 7 out of 10 car. If your budget's higher, let's step it up to 20k for now, there's even more choice. You could have a Gavril Roma for example. This one sports a 5.5 litre, 240 horsepower V8 and 4-wheel drive, and is worth about 12,000 money. Being a big square 4x4, it's naturally quite roomy with an impressive 80 cargo slots. The 4x4 drivetrain and presence of a low range makes it an impressive tow car too. But it drives exactly like you'd expect a big, heavy 1990s 4x4 to drive. Soft, heavy, disconnected. It's good at city speeds and at freeway cruising, but don't push it whatever you do. Honestly, a 6 out of 10 drive. Now that we can afford a nicer one, let's return to the Lansdale. 16,000 money will buy you one like this, with a more on-road oriented all-wheel drive system and 3.8 litre V6. Its cargo capacity is a massive 92 slots, the biggest of any car in today's test. The Lansdale is comfy but also has some problems. Handling isn't very dignified, plus V6 models are automatic only and this gearbox is dismally slow and indecisive, seriously hampering the car's performance. The steering is nice and light though, and despite its girth it's not bad to place on the road. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. Let's up the budget a bit more and see what's out there for 30 grand. This is where properly modern cars enter the fray. Let's start with the Chery Vivace, this one a 2 litre diesel. It sounds pretty agricultural but doesn't hold like a truck, in fact it only has a disappointing 28 cargo slots. Honestly though, the Vivace drives really nicely. It understeers like anything front wheel drive but is very playful and the ride is well balanced between sportiness and comfort. If you go for the dual clutch then it can be very jerky when downshifting, but the manual is better. A solid 9 out of 10. Around 25,000 money will buy you a nice ETK 800, though more basic ones start around 18 to 20. This one is an 846 TT with the magnificent straight 6 and all-wheel drive. Possibly owing to its curvy shape, the 800 only has quite a small boot, meaning just 44 internal cargo slots. To drive though, the 800 is excellent. The auto box is actually responsive, the handling is sharp though there's not much steering feel. The ride is a bit hard, but comfort isn't totally out of the window. It's very, very fast, but it feels a bit fragile. Overall, 8 out of 10. It's not all Euros at this level, as this 24k Bruckle Bastion would like to prove. It's a 5.7 Lux model, meaning 370 horsepower, the most powerful car on test, and a cushiony soft ride. It boasts 60 cargo slots, or 44 if you value rear visibility, similar to a Sunburst but noticeably bigger. It drives really nicely though. Very, very refined if you want to cruise, which it will do effortlessly at any speed, but put your foot down and it comes alive. The grip is surprisingly strong through the corners, as are the brakes. In fact, it's endlessly controllable and has every personality you could want it to. A definite 10 out of 10. Once you've really made it, you might want to spend a bit more to get something even more posh. Well, 31,000 money will buy you a nice ETK K-Series, though I've seen higher mileage ones as low as 25. This is a KC4, the really 6-cylinder ones go for similar money, they're much less commonplace. This is not a practical choice, let's just make that clear. In fact, it has just 16 cargo slots, so you'll struggle to fit anything of value inside. To drive though, it's as good as the 800 but with even better cornering. Everything I said about that car applies to this one, but the steering is also a bit nicer, and the engine noise is a bit grating. It's a 9 out of 10. Alternatively, you could have a Chevrolet Tograk, the Vivac's taller, lumpier, uglier sibling with the same 28 cargo slots. This one's worth about 35k, though again there's lots of variation. It has a 1.6 litre petrol engine and dual clutch transmission and is front wheel drive only. How good the Tograk is heavily dependent on spec. A 190 DQX with sporty package? Very nice. This, less so. It's okay around town and not a bad cruiser, but the dual clutch is jerky, the ride is very bouncy and through the corners it's a mess. Based on my experience of the Volkswagen T-Cross mod though, it's pretty typical small crossover, worthy of a 6 out of 10. You could spend more still, 45,000 for an electric Chevrolet, 50,000 for a hot petrol one, 65 for a hot ETK, but at that point of spending you may as well build your own. So let's move on to a category all about that, upgrade potential. I'm awarding the Pessima a 9 out of 10 here, as with rally suspension, V6 swap and sport tyres it's near unbeatable. The Grand Marshal is also vastly improved with suspension bits off its sportier versions, but an engine swap isn't really worth it unless you want to make a drag car. 8 out of 10. You could extract quite a bit more speed out of a Sunburst with Sport RS bits or an all-wheel drive swap, though the Sport RS is a very unrefined thing, so build wisely. 7 out of 10. You'll never make a Roma corner well, but the Road Sport offers a path to improvement. Thanks to supercharging, it can also be given blistering speed. 6 out of 10. There's not much you can do to improve the Lansdale. Manual swap it and get some better tyres. 3 out of 10. Neither is there much for the ETK 800, except new ECU maps. TT Sport parts are only a mild upgrade. 4 out of 10. The Bastion can be made a lot faster, but any upgrades underneath will compromise the ride, so be careful. 7 out of 10. All Chevrolets can be swapped with the same parts. I'd recommend the 5-cylinder Arsenic engine certainly, plus that model's suspension bits. 10 out of 10. For sizing through traffic on time deliveries, I'd say police lights are essential. The K-Series is the only car here that can't have them. On the upside, it can be made plenty faster, and there's a lovely V8 at the top of the range. 6 out of 10. So there we have it. Each car gets awarded a point for every 4 cargo slots it has, or 1 small cargo box. Then we add on the scores from the other 2 categories. The winners, joint on 32 points, are the Geralt Roma and Soleil Lansdale. Of those 2, I'd pick the latter, simply because it's a bit better to drive. But an honourable mention to the Ibishu Pessima, close behind on 30 points. That is the driver's choice.